The gallery opening was the kind of event I had no business attending. Crystal champagne flutes caught the light from chandeliers that probably cost more than my annual salary. Women draped in silk and diamonds laughed behind manicured hands, while men in tailored suits discussed acquisitions, both art and otherwise, with the casual indifference of people who'd never worried about rent. I stood near the catering station, straightening my black vest for the hundredth time, trying to blend into the background the way all good servers were trained to do. Invisible, forgettable. Just another pair of hands offering hors d'oeuvres to people who barely noticed I existed. "Miss, could you bring more of those crab things?" A woman with a face pulled too tight by surgery gestured imperiously toward the kitchen. "Of course, ma'am." I smiled the professional smile I'd perfected over 3 years of serving the wealthy. The smile that said, "I'm happy to help," while my feet screamed in cheap heels and my stomach growled because I'd skipped lunch to make this shift. Isabella Chen, 24 years old. Art history degree, gathering dust in a storage unit I could barely afford. Dreams of curating exhibitions replaced by the reality of passing canapes at them. My mother's medical bills had seen to that. Stage 4 cancer didn't care about career aspirations. She'd been gone 6 months now. The bills remained. I pushed through the kitchen doors, letting the mask slip for just a moment. My reflection in the stainless steel refrigerator showed dark circles I'd tried to cover with drugstore concealer. Hair pulled back so tight my scalp ached, and eyes that looked older than they should. "Bella, you okay?" Marcus, the head server, touched my shoulder. "You've been off all night." "I'm fine. Just tired." "The wolves are circling tonight," he said, lowering his voice. "Matteo Greco is here." My hand stilled on the tray. Everyone in the service industry knew that name, knew to avoid eye contact, to move quickly, to never, ever catch his attention. The Greco family didn't just collect art, they collected everything else the law said they shouldn't. Drugs, weapons, people. "Which one is he?" I'd never actually seen him, just heard the whispered warnings. Marcus jerked his chin toward the monitors showing the gallery floor. "Center of the room, black suit. Looks like he could buy the building." I looked, and my world stopped. He stood surrounded by suits and shadows. Bodyguards, I realized, but he was the sun they orbited. Tall, easily over 6 feet, with dark hair swept back from a face that belonged in the Renaissance paintings hanging on these walls. Sharp cheekbones, a jaw that could cut glass, and lips curved in something that wasn't quite a smile. But it was his eyes that arrested me. Even through the grainy monitor, they were startling. A pale, cold gray that seemed to see everything. He was beautiful. Terrifyingly so. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. As I watched, a blonde woman approached him, touching his arm with familiar ease. She was stunning, the kind of woman who belonged in his world. He said something that made her laugh, but his expression never changed. Bored, controlled, dangerous. "Bella." Marcus snapped his fingers in front of my face. "Stop staring. That's the fastest way to end up disappeared." "Right, sorry." I loaded the tray with fresh hors d'oeuvres and pushed back through the doors. The gallery had gotten more crowded. I weaved through clusters of conversation, offering my tray with mechanical efficiency. A hand would reach out. An appetizer would disappear. I'd move on, invisible, until I wasn't. I felt him before I saw him. The air pressure changed, grew heavier, charged with something electric. The conversations around me seemed to dim, like someone had turned down the volume on the world. I turned. Matteo Greco stood 3 feet away, those pale gray eyes locked directly on mine. My breath caught. Up close, he was even more devastating. The black suit was perfectly tailored, emphasizing broad shoulders and a lean, powerful frame. His presence was overwhelming. Not loud or ostentatious, but absolute. Like gravity had shifted to make him the center of everything. "Champagne?" he said. His voice was deep, accented, Italian, though softened by years in America. It rolled through me like distant thunder. I don't have champagne, sir. Just hors d'oeuvres." I held up the tray with shaking hands. "But I can get you—" "No." He stepped closer, close enough that I could smell him. Something expensive and clean, cedar and citrus with an undertone of smoke. "You." My heart hammered against my ribs. "Sir? Your name?" This was wrong. Servers didn't give their names to guests, especially not guests like him. But my mouth opened anyway, betraying me. "Isabella. Bella. Bella." He repeated it slowly, tasting each syllable. His gaze traveled over my face with unnerving intensity, cataloging every detail. Beautiful name for a beautiful woman. Heat flooded my cheeks. There are other guests. They can wait." Not a suggestion, a command. "How long have you worked at these events?" 3 years. "And before that?" Why are you asking me this?" The question came out sharper than I intended. Panic was making me stupid. Something flickered in his expression. Surprise, maybe, or amusement. "Because I want to know. Answer me, Bella." "I was in school, art history." The words tumbled out. "I had to leave." "Why?" "That's personal." "Tell me anyway." His audacity should have angered me. Instead, I felt pinned, like a butterfly under glass. My mother was sick. Medical bills. I had to work. And now? She passed. 6 months ago. Why was I telling him this? Why couldn't I walk away? Mateo's expression softened. Barely. Perceptible. "My condolences." "You took care of her yourself?" I nodded. Loyal. He said it like he was identifying a rare quality. Rare in my experience. He glanced at the tray in my hands, then back to my face. "You don't belong here. Serving drinks to people who wouldn't notice if you disappeared. It pays the bills." Barely, I imagine. His hand reached out and I flinched instinctively. He paused, then slowly, deliberately, plucked an hors d'oeuvre from my tray. "Debts." How did he know? "That's none of your business." "Everything in this city is my business." He ate the appetizer, never breaking eye contact. "How much?" "Excuse me? Your debt?" "How much?" "I'm not telling you that." My voice shook with a mixture of fear and indignation. "I don't even know you." "Matteo Greco." He extended his hand like we were being introduced at a garden party, not standing in a gallery where he'd just interrogated me. "Now you know me. How much?" I stared at his hand. Taking it felt significant, like signing a contract I hadn't read. But refusing felt more dangerous. His palm was warm, calloused in ways that surprised me. His fingers closed around mine with gentle pressure. "How much, Bella?" 38,000. The number escaped before I could stop it. Medical bills. The hospital is threatening to send it to collections. What would you do to clear that debt? The question hung between us, loaded with implications I was afraid to examine. "I'm working, making payments." "At this rate, you'll be 50 before you're free." He still hadn't released my hand. His thumb brushed across my knuckles, the touch sending electricity up my arm. "I could clear it tonight. 1 phone call." "Nothing's free. What would you want in return?" His smile was slow, predatory. "Smart girl. You're right to be suspicious." He finally released my hand but stepped closer, invading my space. "I want you to have dinner with me, tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. "That's it? Dinner?" "That's it. For now." The "for now" carried weight I couldn't ignore. And if I say no? Then you say no. I won't force you, Bella. But the debt remains yours to carry. He reached into his jacket, pulled out a card. Heavy cardstock with just a phone number embossed in silver. Call this number tomorrow at 7. Tell them you're mine. A car will pick you up. I haven't agreed. You will. The certainty in his voice should have angered me. Instead, it sent a shiver down my spine. Because you're drowning and I'm offering you a life raft. Pride is expensive, Bella. Can you afford it? Before I could respond, one of his men approached. Sir, Mr. DeLuca is ready for your meeting. Matteo nodded, but his eyes never left mine. Tomorrow, Bella, don't keep me waiting. He turned to leave, then paused, looking back. And Bella? When you're with me tomorrow night, don't look at anyone else. Your eyes are mine now. Then he was gone, swallowed by his wall of suits and shadows, leaving me standing, alone with a tray of cold appetizers and a business card that felt like it was burning through my palm. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in my studio apartment, barely large enough for a bed and a hot plate, staring at the ceiling and trying to convince myself I wouldn't call, that I'd throw the card away, that accepting anything from a man like Matteo Greco was signing my soul away. But I kept seeing the hospital bills stacked on my counter, kept remembering the collection agency's threatening letters, kept hearing my landlord's thinly veiled warnings about late rent. And I kept feeling the ghost of his thumb brushing my knuckles, kept hearing his voice. Your eyes are mine now. By 6 a.m., I'd given up on sleep. I made instant coffee and sat by the window, watching the city wake up. Delivery trucks, early commuters, normal people living normal lives. I wasn't normal anymore. Hadn't been since my mother's diagnosis had derailed everything. Since I'd dropped out of graduate school to work 3 jobs. Since I'd watched her waste away, while medical debt piled higher than any hope of escape. The card sat on my windowsill. I picked it up, traced the embossed numbers with my finger. 1 dinner. That's all he'd asked for. What was 1 dinner measured against freedom from the crushing weight of debt? Against the possibility of sleeping without nightmares about collection agencies and eviction notices? Nothing's free, I'd told him, and I believed that. Men like Matteo Greco didn't offer charity. They made investments. The question was, what return was he expecting? My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. You okay? You disappeared fast last night. I'm fine, I typed back. Just tired. Did Greco say something to you? I saw him corner you. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. What could I even say? That he'd offered to pay my debt in exchange for dinner? That he'd looked at me like I was something precious and terrifying all at once? Just asked about the food, I lied. Nothing important. But it felt important. Felt like standing at a crossroads where both paths led into darkness, and I had to choose which shadows I'd rather face. At 7 p.m., I picked up my phone. The number rang twice before a crisp female voice answered. Greco residence. My throat was dry. My name is Isabella Chen. I was told to call. 1 moment, please. The hold music was classical. Vivaldi, I thought. The Spring Concerto. Appropriate for a man who dealt in beautiful, expensive things. Then his voice replaced the music. Bella. Just my name, but the way he said it made my skin prickle. I was beginning to think you'd lost your courage. I don't have courage, I have debt. He laughed, a low, rich sound. Honesty. I appreciate that. The car will be at your address in 45 minutes. How do you know where I live? I know everything about you, Bella. Your address, your employment history, your mother's medical records, the exact amount you owe down to the cent. A pause. $38,462. As of this morning. Ice flooded my veins. You investigated me. Of course. I don't make investments blindly. His tone suggested this was perfectly reasonable. Wear something nice. We're going somewhere you'll want to remember. Matteo. And Bella? Remember what I said. When you're with me, you don't look at anyone else. I don't share attention. Understood? The possessiveness in his voice should have terrified me. Instead, it sent heat curling through my stomach. Understood. Good girl, I'll see you soon. The line went dead. I stood in the middle of my apartment, phone clutched in my shaking hand, and realized I'd just agreed to something I couldn't take back. Matteo Greco had decided I was his in some fundamental way, and I'd just confirmed it by calling. The cage door had closed, and I'd walked in willingly. I stood in front of my closet, if the tension rod with hangers could be called that, and stared at my options. 3 years of serving champagne to the wealthy hadn't left much room in my budget for the kind of clothes that would fit in Matteo Greco's world. A black sheath dress from Target, worn to every catering event. A floral sundress I'd bought for my mother's last birthday. Jeans and t-shirts that smelled faintly of grease from my morning shift at the diner. Nothing that said I'm dining with a mafia boss. I settled on the black dress. At least it was clean. I paired it with my only heels, scuffed at the toes but passable in dim lighting, and pulled my dark hair into a low bun. The mirror showed someone trying too hard. Someone out of her depth. Wear something nice. We're going somewhere you'll want to remember. His words echoed as I applied drugstore lipstick with trembling hands. What kind of place did a man like him consider memorable? What kind of evening ended with debt forgiveness and not something far more expensive? At 7:43, my phone buzzed. Car is downstairs. MG. My stomach dropped. No turning back now. The vehicle waiting at the curb made my studio apartment look even more pathetic by comparison. A black Mercedes S-Class, windows tinted so dark I couldn't see inside. The driver emerged as I approached, a thick-necked man in a suit that barely contained his shoulders. Miss Chen. He opened the rear door without smiling. Mr. Greco is waiting. I slid into leather that probably cost more than my monthly rent. The interior smelled of expensive cologne and power. And sitting across from me, bathed in the soft glow of the city lights filtering through the windows, was Matteo. He'd changed from last night's black suit to charcoal gray, paired with a black shirt open at the collar. No tie. The casual elegance made him even more devastating. His pale gray eyes tracked over me with an intensity that made me feel exposed. Bella. He said my name like a caress. You're beautiful. I'm underdressed, I countered, painfully aware of my discount store outfit compared to his obvious wealth. You're perfect. He leaned forward, and I caught that scent again: cedar, citrus, smoke. Let me make something clear. When I look at you, I don't see your clothes or where you bought them. I see a woman who sacrificed everything for someone she loved. That's worth more than any designer label. The unexpected tenderness in his voice made my throat tight. Where are we going? Somewhere we can talk without interruption. The car pulled away from the curb, merging into traffic. Are you afraid of me, Bella? Yes. Honesty seemed safer than lies with a man who claimed to know everything about me. Good. Fear will keep you smart. His fingers drummed once against his knee. But understand this. I would never hurt you. What I offer tonight is real. Genuine. The debt will be cleared. No strings beyond the ones you choose to accept. Why me? You could have anyone. I don't want anyone. His gaze pinned me in place. I want you. From the moment you looked up at me in that gallery, something shifted. You were supposed to be invisible, forgettable. Instead, I couldn't look away. That's not a reason. No? He tilted his head slightly. Then try this. You're the first person in 10 years to look at me with fear and speak to me with defiance anyway. Do you know how rare that is? People either grovel or run. You did neither. I was working. I couldn't run. You could have. Should have. Probably. A slight smile. But you stayed. You answered my questions. You didn't pretend to be someone you weren't. He leaned back, studying me. I'm surrounded by people who lie for a living, Bella. Your honesty is refreshing. The car turned down a street I didn't recognize, then into an underground garage beneath a building of glass and steel. We rode a private elevator to the top floor in silence, but I felt Mateo's gaze on me the entire time, cataloging, assessing, possessing. The elevator opened directly into a penthouse that stole my breath. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of the city. Modern furniture in blacks and grays. Art on the walls that I recognized from textbooks. A Rothko, a Basquiat, pieces worth millions. "This is your home?" I whispered. "One of them. I wanted privacy tonight." He moved to a bar cart, poured 2 glasses of wine. "Brunello di Montalcino. You'll like it." "I don't know anything about wine." "Then I'll teach you." He handed me a glass, his fingers brushing mine in a touch that felt deliberate. "Dinner will be ready in 20 minutes. Until then, let me show you something." He led me to the windows. The city spread below us like a carpet of lights, beautiful and indifferent. From this height, the problems that plagued my life seemed small, manageable. "Do you see that building?" Mateo pointed to a high-rise several blocks away. "I own it, and that one, and the office complex beside it." His hand swept across the skyline. "Half of what you see is mine in one way or another. Real estate, businesses, investments. And the other half that isn't in the books?" I heard myself ask. He smiled. "Smart girl. Yes, there's business that doesn't appear on tax returns. I won't lie to you about what I am, Bella. I'm not a good man. I've done things that would horrify you. Hurt people who deserved it and some who probably didn't. Why are you telling me this?" "Because I want you to choose me with your eyes open." He turned to face me fully. "I want you in my life, in my world. But I need you to understand what that means." My heart hammered. "For one dinner? Dinner is just the beginning." His hand came up, cupping my jaw with surprising gentleness. "I'm offering you more than debt forgiveness, Bella. I'm offering you a place beside me. Protection. Security. Everything you've been struggling for. In exchange for what? You. Your loyalty. Your presence. Your time." His thumb brushed across my lower lip, sending electricity through me. "And eventually, if you choose it, your body. But that's not a demand. It's an invitation." I should have pulled away, should have recognized the danger in his words, in his touch. But I was so tired of fighting, so tired of being alone. What if I say no to everything but the debt? Then I pay it anyway and never contact you again. His expression was serious. "I meant what I said, Bella. I don't force. I seduce. I persuade. I offer something better than what you have. But the choice is always yours." "That's not fair." "No?" His smile was dangerous. "Tell me what would be fair. Leaving you to drown in debt? Watching you work yourself to death? I'm offering you salvation and you're arguing about the terms. Because salvation from you comes with chains. Golden chains." His other hand settled on my waist, pulling me closer. Silk restraints. A cage so comfortable you'll forget you're confined. His forehead touched mine. "But yes, Bella, if you accept what I'm offering, you'll be mine. Completely." "Is that really worse than the life you have now?" I thought about my studio apartment. The 3 jobs, the endless debt, the suffocating loneliness since my mother's death. "I don't know you." "Then let me tell you who I am." He stepped back, giving me space to breathe. "Mateo Greco. 31 years old. Born in Calabria, raised in New York. My father built an empire from nothing. I inherited it at 23 when he was killed by a rival family. His voice was matter of fact, but I saw the flash of old pain in his eyes. I've spent 8 years consolidating power, eliminating threats, building something that can't be easily destroyed. I'm ruthless in business, loyal to the few people I trust, and I've never, not once, let myself care about someone outside my immediate circle. He paused. Until you. You don't know me either. I know enough. I know you're stubborn, proud, and too brave for your own good. I know you loved your mother enough to sacrifice your future. I know you're drowning but still trying to swim. His hand found mine, lacing our fingers together. Let me be your life raft, Bella. Stop fighting so hard. A door opened somewhere in the penthouse. Sir, dinner is ready, a woman's voice called. Come. Matteo led me to a dining room where a table had been set for two. Candles flickered between crystal glasses. The food was already plated. Something that looked like art, too beautiful to eat. He pulled out my chair himself, his hand lingering on my shoulder as I sat. Then he took the seat across from me, close enough that our knees touched beneath the table. Eat, he said gently. You're too thin. When did you last have a real meal? I eat. Ramen doesn't count. Neither does whatever you steal from catering events. He picked up his fork. While we eat, tell me about your mother. What was she like? The question caught me off guard. Why do you want to know? Because she made you who you are. That makes her important to me. So I told him. About my mother's love of art, how she'd encouraged my studies. About the diagnosis that came too late. About watching her fade while I worked myself ragged trying to afford treatments that only prolonged the inevitable. Matteo listened without interruption, his pale eyes never leaving my face. When I finally fell silent, he reached across the table and took my hand. She would be proud of you, what you did for her. She would hate this. Hate that I'm here with you. The truth tasted bitter. She always told me to never owe anyone anything. Wise woman. But you already owe the hospital, the landlord, the world that took everything from you. His thumb traced circles on my palm. At least my debt comes with benefits. Like what? Like never worrying about money again. Like safety. Like being treasured instead of tolerated. He stood, pulling me up with him. Come, I want to show you something else. He led me through the penthouse to a room I hadn't seen. When he opened the door, I gasped. It was an art studio. Windows on two sides flooding the space with city lights. An easel, paints, canvas. Everything an artist could want. How did you? Your transcripts mentioned a minor in studio art. Your mother's obituary said she encouraged your creativity. He watched my face carefully. This could be yours. A place to create. To remember who you were before debt and duty consumed you. I walked into the room like it was a dream. Ran my fingers over the brushes, the pristine canvases. When had I last painted? 2 years? 3? Matteo, this is too much. It's nothing. He was behind me suddenly, his hand settling on my waist. Say yes, Bella. Let me give you this. Let me give you everything. I don't understand what you want from me. I want you to belong to me. His lips brushed the shell of my ear. I want to wake up knowing you're safe in my home. I want to come back from whatever darkness my work requires and find you here, painting, creating, living. I want to own your debts and your worries so you never carry them alone again. That's not love. That's possession. I never claimed to offer love. His arms tightened around me. I'm offering something more reliable. Protection, provision, obsession probably. I've never been a man who does anything halfway, Bella. If you're mine completely. I turned in his arms to face him. And if I want to leave someday? Something dark flashed in his eyes. Then I'll let you go, but I'll make damn sure you never want to. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. He kissed me then. Not asking permission, but not forcing either. His lips were surprisingly soft, the kiss controlled despite the heat I felt radiating from him. When I gasped, he deepened it, his tongue sliding against mine in a way that made my knees weak. I should have pushed him away. Should have remembered all the reasons this was dangerous. Instead, I kissed him back. His groan vibrated through both of us. One hand slid into my hair, tilting my head to give him better access. The other pressed me flush against him, letting me feel the evidence of his desire. When he finally pulled back, we were both breathing hard. "Stay tonight," he whispered against my lips. "Not for sex. Not yet. Just stay. Let me prove I can keep my promises." "What promises?" "That you'll be safe, that you'll be cared for, that choosing me is choosing something better." His forehead rested against mine. "One night, Bella. Give me one night to show you what your life could be." I thought about my empty apartment, the bills, the loneliness that had become my only companion. "One night," I heard myself whisper. "Just tonight." His smile was triumphant and tender all at once. "Just tonight," he agreed. But we both knew it was a lie. He gave me one of his shirts to sleep in, black silk that fell to mid-thigh and smelled like him. Showed me to a guest room with a bed larger than my entire studio. Left me with a gentle kiss and a promise that he was just down the hall if I needed anything. I lay in Egyptian cotton sheets, staring at the ceiling, and tried to understand what I'd just agreed to. Matteo Greco was offering me everything I needed and nothing I should want. He was dangerous, possessive, operating in a world of violence I couldn't begin to understand. But he'd also looked at me like I was precious, had listened to stories about my mother without judgment, had created an art studio because he'd noticed details about me I'd thought long forgotten. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text from an unknown number. "The debt has been cleared. Confirmation will arrive via email in the morning. Sleep well, Bella." I stared at the message. He'd done it. Just like that. $38,000, gone with a text message. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt the weight of obligation settling over me like a blanket. Another text. "No obligation. I meant what I said. The choice is yours. But I hope you'll choose to stay." How did he know what I was thinking? A third text. "Because I'm learning to read you, and because I know that look." The one that says you're calculating the cost of freedom versus the cost of owing me. Stop thinking so hard. Just sleep. I set the phone down with shaking hands. Matteo Greco was in my head, under my skin, reshaping my reality with every word and gesture. And the terrifying thing was how little I wanted to fight it. I pulled his shirt tighter around me, breathing in cedar and smoke, and let my eyes drift closed. Tomorrow I'd worry about what I'd agreed to. Tomorrow I'd examine the cage I'd walked into. Tonight, for the first time in 6 months, I felt safe. And that was worth more than freedom had ever been. I woke to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the smell of coffee. For a moment, I forgot where I was. Then reality crashed back. Matteo's penthouse, his shirt against my skin, the debt that no longer existed. I found a robe draped over a chair, cashmere, impossibly soft, and wrapped it around myself before venturing into the hall. Voices drifted from the main living area. Matteo's smooth baritone, and someone else, gruff, older, speaking rapid Italian. I hesitated, not wanting to interrupt. But Matteo must have sensed my presence because his voice switched to English mid-sentence. We'll discuss this later, Enzo. I have company. Company? The other man's tone was sharp. What kind of company requires you to cancel 3 meetings? The kind that's none of your business. There was steel beneath the politeness. Leave, now. Footsteps. The elevator chimed. Then silence. I stepped into the living room. Matteo stood by the windows, still dressed despite the early hour. Dark slacks and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. He turned when he heard me, and his expression softened. Buongiorno, Bella. Did the shouting wake you? Who was that? My consigliere. He's displeased that I'm rearranging my schedule. Matteo moved to the kitchen, poured coffee from an espresso machine that probably cost more than my car. How do you take it? Just black. He handed me the cup, his fingers brushing mine in that deliberate way he had. You slept well? Better than I have in months. The admission felt dangerous. Good. Sit. We need to talk. We settled on the couch, Matteo close enough that our thighs touched. He'd positioned himself so the morning light caught the sharp angles of his face, making him look almost angelic. Deceptive. I have a proposition for you, he began. Beyond what we discussed last night. My stomach tightened. What kind of proposition? Move in here. Not as a guest. As mine. He held up a hand when I started to protest. Hear me out. Your apartment is barely habitable. You're working 3 jobs and still barely surviving. I can give you security, comfort, freedom to pursue your art again. In exchange for what? Your presence, your time, your loyalty. His hand found mine. I want to come home to you, Bella. I want to know you're safe in my home, not struggling in some rat-infested studio. I want to take care of you the way you deserve. That's not a relationship. That's ownership. Call it what you want. His grip tightened slightly. But answer me honestly, is it worse than what you have now? I'm offering you everything you need. All I ask is that you give me the right to provide it. And if someone else looks at me, talks to me, his eyes went cold. Then they learn very quickly that you're not available, that you're mine, and touching what's mine has consequences. The possessiveness should have terrified me. Instead, it sent heat pooling in my stomach. I need time to think. No. The word was gentle but absolute. If you think too hard, you'll talk yourself out of what you want because of what you think you should do. I'm not giving you time to overthink this, Bella. I'm asking you to trust your instincts. My instincts are screaming that this is crazy. And what's your heart saying? I looked at him, really looked, at the intensity in his eyes, the set of his jaw, the way he held himself like a man prepared to weather any storm. This wasn't a game to him. He wanted me with a single-minded focus that was both thrilling and terrifying. My heart is saying yes, I whispered. And that scares me more than anything. His smile was slow, victorious. Then say it. Say you're mine. The words stuck in my throat. Once I said them, there was no taking them back. No pretending this was just dinner, just one night. Matteo's hand came up, cupping my face. Let me make this easier. I'm not asking you to love me. I'm not even asking you to trust me completely. I'm asking you to let me take care of you. To stop fighting alone. Can you do that, Bella? I thought about the alternative. Going back to my apartment, to the jobs that were killing me slowly, to the crushing loneliness. Yes, I breathed. I'm yours. The kiss he gave me was consuming, claiming. His hands were in my hair, on my back, pulling me into his lap until I was straddling him. I could feel him, hard and ready beneath me, but he didn't push for more. just kissed me like I was air and he'd been drowning. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, he pressed his forehead to mine. "You won't regret this," he promised. "I swear to you, Bella. You're mine now, and I protect what's mine with everything I have." I believed him, and that was the most dangerous thing of all. Moving into Mateo's penthouse happened faster than I could process. Within 48 hours, my studio apartment was emptied. Not by me, but by a team of movers who handled my pathetic belongings with more care than they deserved. My landlord received 3 months' rent as a courtesy for breaking the lease early. My debts, all of them, vanished like they'd never existed. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt unmoored, like I'd stepped off solid ground and was now floating in Mateo's orbit, held in place by nothing but his gravitational pull. "You're thinking too hard again," Mateo said from the doorway of the art studio. "My art studio now," he insisted. He'd been watching me stare at a blank canvas for 20 minutes. "I'm trying to remember how to do this." I gestured at the paints, the brushes, all the tools I'd once wielded with confidence. "It's been so long." "Then don't think. Just feel." He crossed the room, standing behind me, his hands settling on my shoulders. "Close your eyes." "Mateo. Trust me. Close them." I obeyed. His breath was warm against my ear. "What do you see when you're not looking?" he whispered. "What's in here?" His hand pressed gently over my heart. Colors bloomed behind my eyelids, dark reds, deep blues, slashes of gold. My mother's smile, hospital fluorescence, the city at night from Mateo's windows. "Paint that," he murmured. "Stop trying to remember how. Just do it." He left me there, and somehow, his absence gave me permission. I picked up a brush, made the first mark, then another. Before I knew it, an hour had passed, and the canvas was alive with color and emotion I hadn't known I was carrying. I stepped back, breathless, and found Mateo standing in the doorway again. How long had he been watching? "Beautiful," he said softly. "Painful and beautiful. Like you. It's a mess. It's honest." He approached, studying the canvas. "This. The red here, the way it bleeds into black. This is grief." He was right. I'd painted my mother's death without meaning to. "And this." His finger traced a line of gold. "This is hope. Small, but present." He turned to me. "You're healing, Bella. Slowly. Let me help." "You are helping. Too much, maybe. There's no such thing as too much when it comes to you." His hand cupped my face, thumb brushing away a smear of paint I hadn't realized was there. "I want to give you the world. Why won't you let me?" "Because I don't know what it costs yet." His expression darkened. "Everything costs something. At least with me, you know the price up front. Loyalty, presence, you." His thumb traced my lower lip. "Is that really so expensive?" Before I could answer, his phone buzzed. He checked it, and his entire demeanor changed. The softness vanished, replaced by cold authority. "I have to go. Business." He kissed my forehead. "Stay here. Paint. Create. Be safe. I'll be back before midnight." "What kind of business?" "The kind you don't want to know about." He was already moving toward the door. "Enzo will be outside if you need anything. Don't leave the building, Bella. Please." Then he was gone, and the penthouse felt enormous and empty. I tried to paint more, but the creative spark had died. Instead, I wandered the space that was supposedly mine now, but still felt like a museum. Everything was too expensive, too perfect, too much. In Mateo's study, a room I'd been told I could access freely, I found myself drawn to the books lining the walls. Philosophy, history, art theory, collections that suggested a mind far more complex than the dangerous man who'd claimed me. I pulled out a leather-bound volume of Italian poetry, and something fell from between the pages. A photograph, old and creased. A woman with dark hair and sad eyes, holding a small boy who looked nothing like her. The boy's eyes were pale gray, already too serious for his age. Mateo. And his mother, I guessed. You shouldn't be in here. I spun. A man stood in the doorway, older, maybe 60, with silver hair and cold eyes. Not Enzo. Someone else. Mateo said I could. Mateo says many things, especially to pretty girls he wants to fuck. The crudeness made me flinch. But his study is off limits, especially to temporary amusements. I'm not. Yes, you are. He stepped into the room and I instinctively backed up. He'll tire of you eventually. They always do. The smart ones take what they can get and leave before it gets ugly. Who are you? Carlo, Mateo's uncle, the man who actually runs things while my nephew plays house with strays. His smile was cruel. How much has he given you? 50,000? 100? Whatever it is, double it and disappear. Trust me, girl, you don't want to be here when the novelty wears off. Get out. My voice shook, but I held my ground. This is Mateo's home, and he invited me here. You're the one who doesn't belong. Carlo's expression turned ugly. He moved faster than I expected, grabbing my wrist hard enough to bruise. Listen, you little... Let her go. The voice was arctic, deadly. Mateo stood in the study doorway, and the temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. He wasn't the man who'd kissed my forehead and told me to paint. This was someone else entirely. Something else. Mateo, I said let her go. Each word was precise, controlled, terrifying in its calmness. Now. Carlo released me, stepping back. She was in your study, going through your things. She has permission to be anywhere in this apartment. You don't. Mateo's pale eyes were flat, emotionless. You came here uninvited, threatened what's mine. Give me one reason I shouldn't have Enzo throw you off the balcony. I'm family. You're a liability I've tolerated out of respect for my father's memory. That tolerance just expired. Mateo moved between us, shielding me. Leave. Don't come back. If I see you near Bella again, family or not, I'll end you. The threat wasn't empty. I could feel it radiating from Mateo like heat from a furnace. Carlo's face flushed red. You're making a mistake. This girl is mine, under my protection, and you just put your hands on her. Mateo's voice dropped to a whisper that somehow carried more menace than shouting. You have 10 seconds to get to that elevator before I change my mind about letting you leave intact. Carlo looked at me, at Mateo, then turned and left. The elevator chimed, descended. Only then did Mateo turn to me. His hands were gentle as they took mine, examining my wrist where Carlo had grabbed me. A bruise was already forming. Did he hurt you anywhere else? His voice was still cold but directed at the injury, not me. No, just scared me. Good. He pulled me against his chest, his arms wrapping around me tightly. Good that you were scared. It means you're smart. His hand stroked my hair. I'm sorry. I should have warned you about Carlo. He's been trying to undermine me for years. He said I was temporary, that you'd get tired of me. Mateo pulled back enough to look at me. Do I seem tired of you? I don't know what you seem. You're different now. Colder. Because someone threatened you. Touched you without permission. His jaw clenched. That brings out the worst in me, Bella. The part of me that solves problems with violence. He's your uncle. He's a cancer I should have cut out years ago. His thumb traced the bruise on my wrist, feather light. Family doesn't mean shit when they disrespect what's mine. There it was again. That possessiveness that should have repelled me but instead made me feel safe. What happened with your business? I asked, trying to change the subject. His expression shuddered. Nothing you need to worry about. Mateo. No. The word was firm. This is the line, Bella. I'll give you everything: safety, comfort, honesty about who I am. But I won't bring the darkness of my work into this space. When I'm here, with you, I get to pretend I'm someone who deserves something good. The vulnerability in his admission cracked something in my chest. You do deserve good things. I've killed people, Bella, ordered deaths, destroyed families. He said it matter-of-factly, watching my face for a reaction. I'm not a good man who does bad things sometimes. I'm a bad man who's trying to be good for you. Then be good for me, I whispered. Be the man who gives me art studios and listens to stories about my mother. I don't need to know the rest. Something in his eyes softened. You're too forgiving. I'm practical. You're giving me a life I couldn't have otherwise. The least I can do is not judge you for the things you do to maintain it. That's not forgiveness. That's acceptance. He kissed my bruised wrist gently, but I'll take it. He led me to the couch, pulled me into his lap. We sat like that for a long time, my head on his shoulder, his hand stroking my back in soothing circles. The city glittered below us, oblivious to the violence that funded its beauty. Tell me something true, I said eventually, something you've never told anyone else. Matteo was quiet for so long I thought he wouldn't answer. Then, my mother killed herself when I was 8. Pills. My father found her in the bathtub. His voice was distant, emotionless. He never recovered. Threw himself into the business, into violence, until it killed him too. I swore I'd never let myself care about anyone that much. Never give someone that kind of power over me. And now I'm terrified. His arms tightened around me. Because you have that power, Bella. 3 weeks? And you've gotten under my skin so deep I can't imagine my life without you in it. That's dangerous. For both of us. I lifted my head to look at him. Then we're both terrified. Because I'm starting to need this. Need you. And I don't know if that's real or just Stockholm Syndrome. His laugh was rough. Does it matter? Real or not, you're here. You're mine. And I'm keeping you. He kissed me then, and it was different from before. Desperate. Almost rough. Like he was trying to prove something to both of us. I kissed him back with equal intensity, my fingers tangling in his hair. His hands slid under my shirt, spanning my ribcage, thumbs brushing the underside of my breasts. Tell me to stop, he growled against my mouth. Tell me you're not ready. Don't stop, I breathed. That was all the permission he needed. He lifted me, carried me to his bedroom. Our bedroom now, he'd insisted days ago. Laid me on black silk sheets and stood over me, his eyes dark with want. Last chance, Bella. Once I have you, I'm never letting go. Then don't let go. He undressed me slowly, reverently, kissing each inch of exposed skin. When I was bare before him, he paused, just looking. Perfetta, he murmured. So fucking perfect. Then he was on me, in me, consuming me completely. The sex was intense, possessive, punctuated by his whispered claims of ownership and my gasped agreements. When I shattered beneath him, he followed seconds later, my name on his lips like a prayer. After, we lay tangled together, sweat cooling on our skin. Mine, he whispered into my hair. Say it. Yours, I agreed, and meant it. 3 months passed in a fever dream of stolen moments and silk sheets. Matteo was insatiable, not just sexually, though that was constant, but in his need for my presence. He'd interrupt meetings to call me, cancel trips to stay home, watch me paint with an intensity that made my skin prickle. I should have felt suffocated. Instead, I thrived. The art gallery showing my work was his idea. A small, exclusive event at one of the city's premier galleries. My paintings, all created in the studio he'd given me, hung on white walls under perfect lighting. You're nervous, Matteo observed as we dressed for the opening. He looked devastating in a black suit, diamond cufflinks catching the light. What if no one likes them? Then they have no taste. He came up behind me, fastening a diamond necklace around my throat. But they'll love them. Because you're brilliant, Bella. Even if you don't see it yet. The gallery was packed. Critics, collectors, people whose opinions could make or break a career. I stood near the entrance, Matteo's hand at the small of my back, and tried not to hyperventilate. Breathe, he murmured. You're about to become very successful. Try to enjoy it. He was right. By the end of the night, red dots marked half my paintings as sold. Critics praised my raw emotional honesty and fearless use of color. I was swarmed with requests for commissions, interviews, future showings. Through it all, Matteo stayed close. His hand never left me, my back, my waist, my shoulder, staking his claim silently but absolutely. Until a man approached. Handsome, probably 40, with the easy confidence of old money. Ms. Chen, your work is extraordinary. I'm James Rothschild. I'd love to discuss representing you. That's generous, but she's not interested. Matteo cut in, his voice pleasant but edged with steel. Bella already has representation. I wasn't aware. Now you are. Matteo's arm slid around my waist, pulling me against him. She's also taken. Completely. So whatever you're selling, we're not buying. Rothschild's eyes flickered between us, recognition dawning. My apologies, Mr. Greco. I didn't realize Ms. Chen was involved. Now you do. Matteo's smile didn't reach his eyes. Enjoy the rest of the evening, somewhere else. Rothschild retreated quickly. I turned to Matteo. That was rude. He was just being professional. He was looking at you like you were available. You're not. His hand tightened on my waist. Do you remember what I told you that first night, Bella? Which part? Don't look at him. Matteo whispered darkly, his lips against my ear. Your eyes only look at me. A shiver ran through me. Matteo. I meant it. Every word. He turned me to face him fully, oblivious to the crowd around us. You're mine, Bella. Your art, your time, your attention. All mine. And I don't share. People are staring. Let them. His hand cupped my face. Let them all see exactly who you belong to. He kissed me, right there in the middle of my gallery opening, a claiming kiss that left no doubt about our relationship. When he pulled back, his eyes were fierce. Understand something. I've built an empire on knowing when someone wants what's mine. And that man wanted you. That's not happening. Ever. You're being irrational. I'm being possessive. There's a difference. He straightened my necklace, the gesture tender despite his intensity. You're the only good thing in my life, Bella. I'm not losing you to some smooth-talking art dealer. You're not losing me at all. I chose you, remember? Then keep choosing me. His forehead touched mine. Every day, every moment. Choose me over everyone else who'll try to take you away. No one's trying to take me away. Not yet. But they will. Success makes you visible, desirable. Men will look at you and see everything I see. His jaw clenched. And I'll have to remind them, violently if necessary, that you're not available. The darkness in his voice should have scared me. Instead, it sent heat pooling in my stomach. Take me home, I whispered. Now. His smile was predatory. Gladly. We left my own gallery opening early, Matteo's hand possessive on my lower back as he guided me to the car. In the back seat, he pulled me onto his lap, kissing me with bruising intensity. Mine. He growled between kisses. Say it. Yours, I gasped. Always yours. But even as I said it, a small voice in the back of my mind whispered a warning. This kind of possessiveness never ended well. Eventually, the cage would close completely, and by then, it would be too late to escape. We made it to the penthouse elevator before Mateo's control snapped completely. He had me against the mirrored wall, his mouth on my neck, hands everywhere. "Do you have any idea what you do to me?" he groaned. "Watching other men look at you, want you, knowing they can't have you because you're mine?" "Show me," I challenged. He did, right there in the elevator. Fast and claiming and absolutely possessive. When we finally made it to the penthouse, we left a trail of clothes to the bedroom and spent the rest of the night proving to each other exactly who we belonged to. Later, in the dark, Mateo held me close. "I know I'm too much," he said quietly. "Too possessive, too jealous, too controlling. But I can't help it, Bella. You're everything I didn't know I needed. The thought of losing you, you won't lose me. Promise me." His grip tightened. "Promise you won't leave, won't get tired of my darkness, won't wake up one day and realize you can do better." "I promise," I whispered, and meant it. Because somewhere in the last 3 months, I'd fallen completely. Not just for the safety he provided or the life he'd given me, but for him. The complicated, damaged, fiercely loving man beneath the monster everyone else saw. I was his. Completely. And God help me, I wouldn't have it any other way. The cage had closed. The chains were silk. And I'd stopped looking for the exit. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you love this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.